our video segment on diets as well as labels.
So to get started, we think there's a lot of confusion about what being gluten-free means and what gluten even is. And so just for a little bit of background on that, gluten itself is really a protein that is found in wheat products. A lot of people think that it's wheat and grain products itself, but really gluten is a protein that holds those wheat products together.
Yeah, and so just to talk a little bit more about that, I've been gluten-free now for, 8 years or something like that. And I started going gluten-free when I was a freshman in high school. And I was playing lacrosse and tennis. And I was just getting so many knee problems and leg problems. Like I had shin splints, stress fractures, tendinitis. I was always in the trainer's office getting iced. And then one of my aunts suggested that I just try going gluten-free for a couple weeks because gluten can kind of swell up your joints in some people if it irritates you. So I went gluten-free for 2 weeks and it helped me, and I haven't eaten gluten since then. So that has been my journey with being gluten-free.
For a lot of people, they go gluten-free thinking now that it's just a healthier way to live, but really there's a lot of different nuances to being gluten-free, and not everyone has a sensitivity to gluten, so that's something to be really careful about. Like Caroline discovered that her body had this sensitivity to gluten in the way of inflammation, but some people, like with celiac disease, they have a severe sensitivity to gluten, and that's why they can't eat it. But it's not really just some sort of trend that people should be jumping on to live a healthier lifestyle, because as we'll get into, being gluten-free doesn't always mean being healthy.
Yeah, I think that's a huge thing that people focus on is they think, oh, I'm going to go gluten-free as a diet, but then I'll just eat gluten-free bread instead of normal bread, or gluten-free pasta instead of normal pasta. And I think the biggest thing for me that I try and preach to people is, like, being gluten-free is healthy if you're eating things that are naturally gluten-free, if you're cutting out the bread, the pasta, the cupcakes, the cake, and you're not replacing that with gluten-free cake, gluten-free cupcakes, gluten-free bread. But you're replacing it with, just eating rice cakes or eating spiralized noodles instead of pasta, and replacing the gluten with like plant-based ingredients. So I think that's been a super huge help for me, and I definitely feel it in my joints. I've had a couple of people who have said they have joint problems, and I've suggested to them to try being gluten-free, and it has definitely helped them. So if that's a problem for you, it's definitely something to consider, just doing a trial and run of like not eating gluten for 2 weeks and seeing what it does to your body.
And I'm one of those people. So I've had a lot of knee problems recently, and when I met her during our quarantine, but started living with her during quarantine, she suggested that I try gluten-free. And since we've been together for like 3 months now, I've been gluten-free this whole time because we just eat the same things. And I think that it's been helping. I don't have as much knee pain anymore. I've started running again. And I don't mean to say that it's all a tribute to being gluten-free, because I've done a lot of other rehab type of stuff too. But I do see the value in it. But I myself don't think I necessarily had a gluten insensitivity, so that wasn't why I decided to try it.
Yeah. So that's why our recipes are mostly gluten-free as well as vegan. We'll definitely include other versions as well. You can always sub. If it calls for pasta and it's gluten-free pasta, sub it for normal pasta. You do you. But there definitely is benefits to trying a gluten-free diet if you fall into those categories.